Anybody else? Anybody else like to say something? You're very welcome. I'm running out of tea. Great conversation.
Maybe I would. No, I was just thinking about with the DNA and the ultimate purpose of having, all these experiences is to eventually unify with the all that is. And the emotional part that we were talking about with the emotional charge that we're dealing with, a lot of that will end up acting as like fear, or it will block the path. You can still have the experience of it, but I would work on the emotional. I mean the block part, the emotional charge to it, and kind of knock that down. You can use energy. You can use there's different methods of doing that, because if you're always like, if you're afraid of getting into your car, you're afraid of picking up a rock, you're afraid of chocolate ice cream, which I don't know too many people are. You'll stay away from that all the time. So sometimes you have to work through that emotional charge in order to go forward. Because when we're talking about all these things, I'm thinking about, what's the purpose of it if we're reincarnating and bringing all this information in, from everything, and who knows what. It could be an alien life, it could be a life here, it could be the life of a snail, and we bring all these things in. And what is the ultimate purpose of doing it? And the only ultimate the only purpose I can think of is to unify with everything, all that is at some point. So that's my point of view, and I'm not going to say that I'm right or wrong or anything else. Just some experiences I've had out west, and a long time ago.
Yeah, I think when you could explain, I mean, I'm the same as you. I can't explain it, the purpose of this. I don't understand. I'm not sure my conscience can understand the consciousness of being alive as a human being. That there was just it's complex, and I'm trying to make sense of that, and trying to make sense of feelings and emotions. And I think part of the experience as a human being in this physical form, and our soul and our consciousness inside here having this experience, part of the experience is the feelings, is the body sensations. Because when you go in your dream state, in your other part of consciousness in your dream state, you don't have these same feelings. You can have some of the states you can, but some of the states there's no feelings. But in this one, when we have physical forms, we have physical body sensations. We can have pain in our leg. You go into your dream state, you don't have a leg anyway, so there's no leg to have pain in. You're just consciousness, yeah? So here is really different. So we have a very unique experience in this realm of existence, of our conscious existence, in a physical form that has feelings. It has taste and has flavors and has hot and cold and anger and sadness and has all those experiences. And I'm saying, that the more experiences we have with this, and quite often the trauma is to have, so you can have the experience. It's not it's not the trauma that's bringing it, it's the experience. It's the feeling of the fear is why you have this, because it's the feeling that you're having, not the actual fear of whatever it is. It's the experience
if you never let that go, though, you will never really go back into that experience. Yeah, if you're always in a state of fear, you're not going to really go beyond that. So, yes, experience. You got to work on that emotional side.
You're only going to stay in that one experience. You're just going to and feel or override.
You just got to go through it.
It'll take away all your other experiences. It'll take you experience joy and happiness. It will take you experience of anger, or you could get angry with the fear, but that's okay. But it'll equate other experiences, because you're caught in one resolve in one particular aspect of the feelings. And it's good to have it. I'm not saying you shouldn't. If something traumatic happened to you, it's good to have that feeling, but it's not the only one you can have. There's a lot more you can have, and to hang on just one and be caught in that one experience. If you're caught in one part of it, you deny yourself from all the rest of the broad spectrums of experience as a human. And we can get caught in them. It can be overwhelming. And I'm not saying that some of the traumas that are happening to people are huge, and they're mind-consuming traumas where it's hard for your mind to let it go. It's difficult, but some of these
And that's kind of the key, where you have to get rid of the charge so that you can let it go enough that you can
you've got to see it
experience
for what it is.
more.
You've got to get back to what it really is, what really happened. And there
go
is a
through that
physical
fear
power.
and clear it out.
Correct.
You can have the fear, but go through it. Otherwise, you're going to repeat it over and over and over.
Over and over and over again. Yeah. And part of that is, as I say, there's lots of different modalities that help you get out of that help you get out of the caught in the loop cycle of that one emotion, just having one experience, and how you get out to that so you can have broader experience. And I'm saying the experience they had is really good. It's because you got stuck in the experience. It's got you got stuck in a program that you can't turn off on your computer, and you can't turn it off. It's running the whole time on your computer, and it's not only on your desktop. It's actually on your desktop. It's actually got the picture on the front of it. You can't, and you're clicking the button to turn it off, and it won't go off. So you need somebody to help you how to go back and force quit it. Oh God, I love this. I love somebody created these terminologies because they're so equated to what we do. It's such a great analogy. I just thought of it at the time. You've got to go and force quit it. You've got to go up there because it's got not responding on it. You go to the thing that says non-responding, not yet, because it's locked on. And you've got to go back and force quit it. But it doesn't, when you force quit it, it doesn't mean it goes away forever. It just gets put back in the file again. It doesn't mean that it's got out of your computer. You're not deleting it. You're just force quitting from its operating system running on your computer.
You're just taking the charge out of it.
Yeah, yeah. If you're taking it off your desktop so you can't see it every moment of your day. It's not there anymore.
So if you're doing healing work, it's kind of the same thing where you're clearing charge to allow the body to heal itself.
And then it reboots itself, and then it starts back up.
Then it starts rebooting yourself so that the injury or whatever you got going on will improve over time. If you're really good, you might even get it to cure it. But that's a lot of clearing.
Yeah.
And getting rid of that charge.
You stay with that concept of that you go to a practitioner, and the practitioner is basically trying to help you reboot your body because the body wants to be in homeostasis. It wants to be well. It's the most miraculous thing to heal itself on all levels. And if you have a trauma experience, then it wants to cure itself from that as well because it knows it's affecting the whole computer's getting affected by that. So it not only does it give you opportunities to break that, it even subconsciously, because it's connected to the bigger Shen brings you people into your life to help you break it, to help you break
the
loop that you're in. Yeah, it brings it in, and it brings it into your life. I can help you, and I'm okay.
It brings in experiences to do the same thing.
And the people come into your life, and people keep walking into people's lives that have this that can actually help them, and they go, "Oh, I'm okay. I'm fine. I don't need any help." They keep coming to you all the time because your consciousness keeps bringing them to you to help you have the experience and break free from it. The consciousness doesn't want you to be suffering your whole life. It's not this. The theory is your life here isn't to come in just to suffer. It's to experience all of it. Suffering is just one of them. And just to come into, if you think your life's just here for suffering, well, you underestimate the true potential of who we are as a human. But we get caught in the loop. And then, as I say, people always keep walking into that story about the people on the roof of the house when it was flooding. And the boat came, and the other boat came, and then they sent the helicopter. And he said, "God, why didn't you send somebody?" I said, "I've sent the boat, the guy, the boat, the helicopter. I sent all these guys to help you, but you didn't. You told them to go away." So there's a reality in that, and we always have help. Somebody always walks into your life when the most traumatic time. They walk into your life to be there with you or to help you through it. And I can use that my own equation of when my son died with Josephine walking into my life, my wife, 4 weeks before that happened, and she held me through that period of time. She was like an angel, came to look after me. It happens with everybody. They all get something happens to them. I shouldn't say all, because there could be exceptions to every rule. There could be, but lots of the times, I would imagine, I can only talk about my own experience, but there must be times where people have reached out for people and then they've turned them away, but they were there for them. There might be occasions, of course, where nobody comes, and that's the part of the experience, because that'll trigger the loneliness experience. If you have a story that nobody's here for you, if you have one of your fundamental based stories that you've got, your karmic story, there's nobody here for you, well, then they won't come, will they? Because it has to justify your story by nobody coming, so you can say, yeah, nobody's there. No, but you think there's nobody here. That's take away that story and say there's lots of people for me, and they'll all come and visit you. It's got to change the story.
Well, yeah, it can depend on the contract that you signed when you came in too.
Yeah.
So
you've had a big one. You've had a big one. You just had a huge one about losing identity. I mean, that's a huge one to deal with. The conscious. I thought of this. I do think of you because you're my friend, and I think of the conscious gift you've been given, the spiritual gift you've been given, because somebody stole your identity. Now, we don't realize how attached we are to identity, but you've had this experience, so you know this. So you have wisdom around this because of your experience to what it feels like to when somebody takes you away, takes your identity off you, and then can start to control your identity, and you don't have a choice. And you get to have that experience. And that's a wild, I don't want that one, but I'm glad you can tell me about you can tell me about what it evoked in yourself, what it felt like to actually have you don't have to do it now, but I'm just saying your experience is quite unique, but you've actually had your identity stolen off you as a human being. So this is me, Peter, here, and then all of a sudden I'm not Peter anymore, I'm nobody because somebody's taken my identity off me. And you've had this experience, which is a very unique experience and a very huge spiritual experience to where you don't exist anymore. Your construct of who you think you are has been taken away. Talk about letting go. I mean, this is letting go on a whole other level of losing self. And so you get to experience what it feels like to have no self, where you have no control of self, except around your home and your own thoughts and with your wife and your kids. But other than that, anything outside the door with the reality of your existence was taken off you. It's an incredible spiritual experience to have that. I'm not saying it's a good one, but I'm just saying it brings you into a place of understanding who you really are when you don't have that, when you don't have identity. Who's left? And we don't, as I say, we don't need to talk about it because it's a really big subject, but you have had that experience. I'm using the example of what it's like to let go of you. But you didn't let go. Somebody took it off you, so then you had to let go because there was none of you left. What an extraordinary experience, and I'd love to talk to you about it sometime personally about it. As I say, this might not be the forum because it's quite personal. But I think it's the idea of that and the experience of that. That's a really, 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 really high conscious human experience to have, and it's interesting. It's happening more and more of people that they're losing identity, and that's who are you when you don't have you? When there's no you anymore, who's left?
I could probably frame it in one word.
Okay,
empty.
Yeah, empty. Empty. Yeah, but that's your empty that you felt in that empty, what that means to you, you can feel that word empty. My mind's just trying to believe what I think it is. My mind's trying to believe what empty means, but only you know what that feels like because you had the situation happen.
I guarantee you do not want it.
No, I wouldn't imagine I would do. We all want to be still in the stillness and silence and the emptiness, but then you had true emptiness. You go, okay, well, empty is not what you think it is. This empty is not cool. But then who were you inside the empty? Because you were still there. It was empty, but you were still there. What was left? Pretty exciting. Pretty exciting in a weird way to see who you are inside the empty. What's left? Because they can't get rid of you. They can get rid of your identity, but they can't get rid of you. So now you've lost identity. What's left after your identity goes? What's left?
It's just basically you, because you end up
your
losing your friends, and you can't really reach out to them because you're afraid that they're going to get hit.
Correct. So
until you get to a point. Yeah, until you get to a point where you think that they're done, or you can protect yourself enough. It's I scared one person off, but it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, but then I say, who were you? What was left when you took away your identity as who you are? And that's the spiritual gift you get from it, to have that experience. As hard as it was, but there's something really special and really pure happened in that place where you failed to exist anymore. Who are you? Who's left? It just must be your consciousness. I would imagine it's just a consciousness, but who's the conscience left? What's that when you take away everything? You know, people talk about letting go of everything and letting go of consciousness and everything else, but do people really understand what that means? Do they really understand what letting go at that level of letting? Oh, I can let go of this. I can let go of my character. I can let go of my attachments and my desire. What happens? Can you let go of your personality when you get taken off your life? Your whole character is taken off you. How are you with that one? This is what you've had the experience, which is an extraordinary experience. To sit there with nothing left but you. How are you okay with just you, nothing else? And the you, the public you's gone. There's just you there without any public. There's no public picture. There's just you. That's
in some ways,
an extraordinary
I did that
experience.
before.
I don't want it, by the way. Tell me about it.
We'll talk about it, but we've already lost everybody. So
I think okay. We've been talking for a couple of hours. It's okay. But you and I, let's have a chat about it anyway sometime. I'm fascinated by that experience. It's a scary thought to have that, by the way, to lose that. There wouldn't be too many people would be happy about losing identity.
She came back.
No, my video is about to go flat and I'm not next to my charger, so I've been listening, but I didn't want to be rude.
I ran into that one time before when I left Seattle too. Yeah. Because I was doing all this spiritual work and then everything, I knew I had to leave because you get to a point when you're doing something and you'll run into all these barriers. It's just like everything stands in your way no matter what you do. Yeah. And all the doors just close in your face and there's no place to go. There's no work to do and you can't go anywhere. So I ended up coming back here.
Yeah.
And I ended up losing everything that time too. It's like all my friends were out in Seattle because this place, Erie, is about as eerie as a bowl of mush. I mean, it's like it's eerie at all.
Did you really lose everything, or you lost the perception of what you think everything was, but what you gained was you, without all the attachments, without all the attachments of all the people, the situations, and all your friends, without all those attachments, all you get left is back to you again. And what a beautiful experience. And it's happened to again. So your consciousness, your soul hasn't quite finished with your journey around this for you to experience nothingness.
Well, I'm hoping that it did.
Okay with nothingness. Take away your identity. There's nothing left. That's what you always wanted. This is that cracks me up. See, you asked, we talked about this. You've asked for this experience of the true nothingness of feeling what it feels like to be empty, to have emptiness.
Yeah,
and then it
I was hoping not to lose all my friends in the process.
What you asked for. So
I mean, I lost one friend. I lost one friend of 30 years. I can't contact her anymore because they hit my phones too.
Yeah.
So that person, I can't even contact them. I know about where they're at, but they were in their 80s, and she was an amazing clairvoyant. And that's what she did a good part of her life, besides work for Ronald Reagan and a few other things that she actually was kind of a bigwig. So I lost her. I lost, anybody I knew around here, I haven't been able to contact or I'm afraid to contact because if I do, now I could probably do it, but I don't have their numbers anymore because they blasted my phones.
Yeah, but so go away from the loss.
And my computers.
But go away from the loss. See, you're still seeing it as loss. Could you see it that you actually didn't lose them? They were just taken out of your consciousness so that you can't have any reliance on them. There's no reliance on anybody else except for just you. You and your purest self is just you and nothing else. You and no other person.
Didn't really rely on
it. It's taking you into the emptiness, taking you into the oneness of just you. Yeah. There's nothing else. And so everything you could see as friends and everything else that has been hanging on, that we hang on to as part of our life, a part of our experience and our richness of our life as our friends. When you take that out, you only got you left. And so you wanted to know what that feels like. Well, it's exactly what you haven't experienced. But if you think it's loss, then it's really got hold of you because you think you've lost. No, what if you just gain the ability that very few people get to experience, which you get to gain the experience of just you by yourself with nothing else in the world and being alive, not being dead, and having that experience, which is incredibly rich. But man, if you're fighting that experience because you're trying to get back what you had, then you could be missing the experience of what it feels like to be completely empty and sit inside the emptiness and see where the emptiness takes you instead of trying to resolve the problem to get back out again. Just sit inside the emptiness.
No, I'm kind of
I'm
already
just saying this
involved
is
in that.
encouragement because you're my friend, but you have an opportunity that very few people get to fit inside this place of this extraordinary feeling of emptiness, and just sit there and not try and fight your way out of it. Just sit in it and just dissolve into it, because you've got the experience is still going on now because you can't contact many people, but you've reached out to us. But inside that space, as soon as you turn this phone off, you're back into this isolation again, except for your wife and your children. There's something extraordinary inside that for you to have that experience. But I would encourage you, don't see it as the enemy. I'd encourage that experience as one of the greatest gifts you're going to have in your life, because this is the second time you've had it happen. And so it wants you to have the experience of nothing. And that's a very, very cool experience. Not that I want that one the way you've got it.
Yeah, I want it.
No, but then understand you're getting it so you can have that experience. It's not trying to get it back. It's to sit inside the experience and let it be what it is. I'm only encouraging you because I think it's a very, very valuable thing. And not see things were taken off you. That things were given to you to experience outside of that. Outside of that is the experience of not having any identity. It's a unique experience.
Anyway, there's one thing that didn't.
It's your spiritual gift, by the way.
Yeah, there's one thing that they didn't get. My chickens.
Don't say that, because the bloody badger will come and get them. You bloody.
No, I've had a raccoon try and get them. Yeah, he didn't fare so well.
You'll get a raccoon attacking them, exactly.
Not unless he's named Rocket. I think I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Well,
they didn't get my chickens.
So I just had a flash then of a story then. So the story of Job in the Bible, because I like spiritual books, and Job's story was extraordinary. And Job, everything was taken. Job was a very wealthy, famous, not famous, but wealthy, had children, had wives, had kids, had health, had money, had status, has everything else. And God and Satan had a conversation around Job, and God said, yeah, you can take everything off him, but you can't kill him. And so then he took his wealth off him, he bankrupted him, and then he got his kids die, and then his mother's wife died, and he took everything off him. And all Job was just sitting there, and Job would say, God, why have you done this to me? Why do I have in this experience? And God talking back to Satan, and Satan says, Satan, I'm going to break him. I said, no, he believes in me. He will never denounce that he believes in me. You'll never be able to break that. And Satan said, yeah, I can. I'll just take more off him. So he'll start cursing you and hate you for it. And so he took everything else off him, and then he made him sick. And then he was lying in the gutter with leprosy, and he was just all dying. And he's sitting there going, God, why have you done this to me? I don't understand. I love you so much. Why would you want me to have this experience? And then he goes, oh, well, if this is what you want for my life, it's fine. And then God and Satan have the conversation. Said, well, I told you wouldn't be able to break him, because his belief that there is something bigger than himself will always be bigger than that. And Satan gave up, and then God gave him back everything. He gave him back that family, he gave him back the money, he gave him back the whole life, he gave it back to him. I've just shortened the whole book of Job into about 2 seconds. Yeah, you did. It's a rather large book. But to understand the principle of that, everything was taken off him. But he wouldn't denounce that he knew that he was connected to something bigger than that. And he never denounced his belief that somebody was looking. Couldn't understand why he did it, but never ever got angry with him for doing it to him. Just thought there was a reason. Must be a reason. I don't know why I'm having this experience, but obviously I'm meant to. So, and I just go back to yours, is you're having this experience for a reason. It's a very rich experience because it takes everything off you. It's a little bit like the Job story. And so who are you when you've got nothing left? Who's the person sitting down there? Are you by yourself? Or was there something else with you when you're in that space of just emptiness? Or are you by yourself? Are you sitting in the little rowboat in the middle of the ocean, the life raft in the middle of the ocean by yourself? Are you talking to yourself, or are you talking to something bigger than you? That's where it's taking you. It takes you back into that consciousness of that relationship with self, and that relationship with something bigger than yourself. And nothing else. You've got nothing else to do. In the life raft, there's nothing else. It's just you and a couple of seagulls. Might even be no seagulls. Take the seagulls out, just you in the life raft and water. Nothing else.
I don't think I had chickens.
Yeah, but you have chickens to talk to. You see, don't say that because the chickens might all take off. The chickens might all die too. So you got to be careful what you say about
No,
them.
there
They all
goes my
might disappear
eggs.
too. You just say, okay, I'll keep the chickens. I'll have the experience, but can I keep the chickens, please? Thanks.
We trained them. They act like parrots. Literally, they get on my shoulder.
Yeah.
I sit down, they get up on the little table that I'm sitting on, and then they'll jump up on my shoulder.
So there you go. So God gave you
real.
chickens. God gave you chickens to be your friends during this time.
Yeah.
God gave you Josephine. God gave you chickens. Oh, I think I got a good deal.
You got the better deal.
But understand the principle. It's just a principle, though, a principle of the learning. And I think it's extraordinary where it's taking you into that space because you're in the life raft by yourself. What does it feel like? What does it feel like to have that whole identity that you don't exist anymore? Your whole character of who you created in your life and your thoughts and your wisdom and your knowledge, all gone. Can't share it with anybody, just you. No use to anybody else, no use to you because you've got nobody to talk to. That. And what happened inside that space of just letting it go and just sitting inside the emptiness and not trying to fight it, not trying to get angry, not trying to get anything, just sit inside the space of what it felt like to be completely alone and be empty. And if you haven't already been there, I encourage you to sit in that space because it's a very, very unique experience. Yeah. I'm intrigued. Joe's story came up about that.
Yeah. You don't mind if I send you a couple pictures? I just got back from
please.
Acadia.
Oh, the chickens.
No. We went to Acadia National Park.
Oh, do please. Yeah, I like the photos.
And that's, if you know anything about Acadia, it's all rocky beaches.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. If I lived there, I could spend the rest of my life taking photos.
Very cool.
It's just unbelievable. Yeah. Well, it was better than Yellowstone.
Put some up on the group, and I'll put that article about the brain and the computer, the comparison of the brain and computer after this chat. We must be close to the end of it now anyway. So
I'm going to send you a troll too, because there's this arboretum that had like 6 trolls. They made them out of recycled materials. They're like 15, 20. They're like more like 20 to 30 feet tall, and send you a couple.
Great. Do that. We must be in today, everybody.
Peter, I've just got one really mundane question.
Yeah, go for the mundane question.
I'm trying to keep my sugar levels down after my meals, and they say to walk for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'd prefer to do Qigong. Do you think that the Qigong would have the same effect as the walking?
No, different metabolism. So if you want to keep the sugar levels down, stop eating fruit.
Yeah. Also I'm actually working on this one. Can I say something?
Sugar and carbohydrates. You're going to get rid of carbohydrates.
There's a couple different things you can work on. This is one of the things I've been doing while I've been empty. One of the things you can look into is, and I hate to say this because it's kind of a pain, but intermittent fasting, if you can do that.
It's fantastic.
Or fasting, because what happens is if you can fast for, let's say, 3 days, what it starts to do is it'll reset that level, that sugar level, and brings down that threshold so that, because what happens when you have like type 2 diabetes or what have you, is that your body keeps getting more and more insulin and it doesn't know what to do with it. The cells can't absorb it. So it increases that resistance to the insulin. So the insulin level goes up, your sugar level goes up, and you know where that goes. But with the intermittent fasting, it can reset that set point, lower it.
I agree.
The 3-day part, it also, I actually did this myself. I did several 3-day fasts. And the 3-day part, what the heck do they call that? But the body starts getting rid of all the zombie cells too with that 3-day fast. It'll go in there, and your body will start. It's basically eating itself. It's eating these cells.
It's called autophagy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I can't even find Maddie Nolan tonight, so give me, you know. But yeah, autophagy. I think that's what it was. But autophagy, I think that's it. But
we just opened a really big door for discussion in this conversation, and that I think should be a whole chat in itself about intermittent fasting, because it's a really big
if you do that,
what actually happens. And so back to your question you asked, without getting lost in the intermittent fasting, which is a whole subject in itself, the idea is to cut down the carbohydrates, which is the bread, the rice, pasta, and all the fruit. Just got to get out of that. That's what the problem is. And so once you cut all those out of your diet, then you'll find your regulation of the glucose and the sugar is going to change. And that's not easy to do, but that's where it is. And that includes the bread.
No, that's where the carnivore diet comes in too. People do that.
And you'll put yourself into ketosis. So we won't get into it. Just understand that's how if you want to balance that out, the easy way is you've got to get rid of those food groups. And then it'll balance itself. It'll be fine. There you go. That simple answer to that. Simple answer to a very big question.
Huge question, not enough information. Need to do research.
No, because we could spend another 2 hours on this subject, and I don't want to do it without finishing. And you just open it. And when you said
that's what I do.
You said I have a little question, and it wasn't that little.
It's a big question. That's what I do for a job. It's a massive question.
I changed the color of my eyes.
So that's why I'm going to stop, because she's going to start answering that.
My color got bluer because I took the fast. I did fasting.
Peter's seen me go, oh. So yes,
you got all excited then, and I saw that because I thought,
I saw that going.
Did you? Yeah.
We're talking about her specialist subject, so it's if we just open the door then. So I want to shut it off.
Fair enough. Shut it off.
Any other reason? Only that how big a subject it is.
Before it gets out of control.
Well, no, it's just going to take a long time to discuss it because there's a lot of pieces to this.
It will.
And so let's do it in a different chat so we can actually create that whole thing to understand intermittent fastings and to understand what's happening, and we can talk about that and bring our consciousness to that. Yep. And so we can bring it up as a subject to talk about, because it's a very, very big subject today, and there's lots and lots of research done on it. So there's lots of things you can talk about. Yeah.
And it's confusing.
Yeah, it is. No, because it depends on the person too. Depends on the person and the age of the person and the gender of the person and everything else of the person, the lifestyle of the person. But for just a quick answer, stop the sugar, stop the fruit, stop anything with
carbohydrates.
Yeah, just keep away from carbohydrates, keep away from sugars, exercise. That's good.
Eat eggs.
So the answer to your question is walk. It's better.
I have chickens. Eat eggs.
But Walter's promoting his chickens. Eat eggs. Eat eggs.
I eat a lot of eggs.
I'm a vegan, so I don't eat eggs. So
okay.
That's right. We just don't have the fruit. Keep away from the fruit.
Yeah, I don't eat much fruit. But anyway, I've got to go. So
okay.
I'll just open the can of worms and run away.
Yeah, you have, but it's okay. We don't eat worms with the vegetarians. It's okay, but let's finish it there. And everybody, I'd like to say thank you for tuning up today. This is just as a finishing part to everybody. And it was a great conversation today. It was interesting to talk about life and death and concepts of life and death and who we are as a human being. I think it's fascinating. So thank you for all your input. And we'll see you on the next one next month when we'll do another one.